Ali, welcome to the Marketing for Business podcast.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to talk to you today.
I'm excited too because, look, as I said, this podcast talks to business owners. We share our insights with business owners, and one of the key topics we're always talking about, obviously, is marketing. But when you're marketing a business, you've also got to have a leadership inside a business. And I read, and I really like this. And if you're a business owner, you want to listen up because Ali is an expert, right? You help leaders cultivate emotional intelligence, resilience, and make a real impact. And you talk about the soft skills that drive engagement and performance. I'm really interested to have a chat today about this because I think resilience, building a team are so important. So I appreciate you taking your time to come on and having this chat.
Yeah, absolutely. Where would you like to start?
Well, you have an accent. And when someone comes on and has an accent, I'm always curious, where is this accent from?
Okay, so I was born and bred in England in the Cotswolds.
Nice.
And briefly, probably my expertise and connection has been built since I was a kid.
Yep.
So I was brought up in a pub.
Oh, nice.
So as a 5-year-old, I remember sitting in the corner, watching adults, listening, and actually not fully understanding their language, but really watching their micro behaviours.
Yeah.
And I still am watching those micro behaviours because they tell everything.
Yeah.
And watching how people connect, watching what's important. And that took me to become a speech and language therapist, which is no surprise. So I studied the whole area.
Was it because you couldn't understand people when they're at the pub?
Well, I'm not going to go into that little rabbit hole. I just became really fascinated with people. I am intensely, extraordinarily fascinated by people, how they interact, how they communicate. And when I say interact, people go, yeah, interaction. But I mean, we are actually impacting each other's communication as we speak.
True.
Right? The whole time.
Look, the thing is, though, why are you curious about that? Why is it in your DNA that you care about that? What at one point you decided, all right, I'm going to care deeply about that?
That's a really good question. I just think I don't ever remember not caring about it.
Yep.
I noticed I was different to my brothers were just out playing and would come in, eat and go. They weren't hovering around like I was. I don't know when I first noticed that, but I noticed it was a strength, and I knew that I knew that I would travel, and I knew my world would be meeting lots of different people.
Nice.
I knew I wanted to get out of just being with the people I was around because I knew there was a great big world of people out there.
Yeah.
And I also knew that people needed help. My parents were great helpers. They were great workers. They were great communicators. They ran their business very respectfully. I think all of that is kind of...
So did they own the pub?
Yeah.
Nice. Were they publicans?
Yeah. And they were up at the crack of dawn every day doing everything. And
I was lucky enough to see the insides and the workings of a pub. My nana was a cleaner inside a pub. But she was very social because of that. And I think that back in the day, we would go to Nana would have parties, and you could see that she was very social because of that. She was a very good communicator because of that. And then because of that, we became good communicators because of that. Right. And we became good at hospitality.
Yeah.
Indirectly, just by being around.
Yeah.
And I think people that are involved in hospitality are very good at communicating because they have to be, right?
Yeah. 100%.
They're put in so many different situations, circumstances where it's fight or flight in some aspects of it.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Oh, that's 100%. And, the whole thing, I remember watching my father interact with people, no matter, England's, a hodgepodge of people. There's really wealthy people not so wealthy. And they would all come in the pub. They were all welcome. He treated them all the same. And that was his magic connection power. And I think I learned a lot from that. So fast forward to me being a speech and language therapist. Again, it's all about connecting with people who are struggling. And actually, that's when my leadership training started because I was having to train other professionals and carers around communicating. And that's how I got into positive psychology, because I realised that actually I was connecting with people on such a deep level. I was using something that wasn't something I'd learned in my degree. And I was leaning into who they were as people. So good. Meeting them where they're at. So that's your number one connection takeaway of today. Really, and I mean really meeting people where they're at, not just going to their workplace. I mean emotionally and contextually.
What's a way a business owner could do that? Like, let's say context they've got to have, they notice someone in their team's not performing as well as they have in the past. What do I do to meet them where they're at?
I would go have a conversation with them, and the first thing you're going to focus on is listening, really listening.
Yep.
And not listening to respond.
Yes.
Listening to understand.
Love that.
So listening with an open mind. And that means you have to have a certain amount of bravery on board, which is all
Totally.
that vulnerability, resilience kind of stuff. Because you have to be open to whatever's coming. You have to be able to hold space. And that's something I think I learned by watching other people do that.
A lot of people have, it's not natural though for them to listen to understand. Most people are listening to reply. How do you then as a leader, because business owners are leaders and some of them are accidental leaders, and this is I guess the challenge that some business owners have when it comes to, now I'm growing this business and I really want to talk about building this team thing, because I think it's really, really important, because a lot of business owners are accidental and all of a sudden they're put into where they've come off the tools, and now they're in charge 3, 4, 5, 6, 20 people.
Yeah.
I'm just used to listening to reply. Now you're telling me I've got to listen to understand. How?
Yeah. Oh my God, so many thoughts coming into my head now. Well, number one, the business is about people going from being really good at what they do to then suddenly being a leader. So they're often, something I hear a lot in my training room is they're like, well, I'm supposed to have all the answers. No, you're not supposed to have all the answers.
Yeah. That's
crazy. The whole reason you have a team is so that you can activate a collective brain. So you're listening to activate the collective brain within your people. That's what's really, really important.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yep. So you're listening to then understand what they're going to say, but then how, on a broader level, how that can help everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, because then you're going in, and instead of saying, right, my way is the only way, you guys just have to do what I say. Your way may be the way, but you're missing out on all this other perspective that everyone else has on the problem you're trying to solve.
Yeah. Personally, I love that. That's the way I love to engage with people. Sitting in here in an interview with a young person yesterday, really great questions they had, some great questions, and one of the questions she was saying basically, hey, what could I do to, help you progress and your business? And that it was a really great question. And I just answered back straight away, well, what do you think you should do?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she stopped and goes, oh, you answer questions with questions. And I'm like, yep. And what's your answer?
Yeah.
And all of a sudden she told me even more about herself from that, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's the power of when you hire people and you build this team, don't build it just around your ideas. You've got to build it around other people and the collective.
So that's that shift from judgment to curiosity. So when we sit in judgment, so when, sometimes people will say to me, well, there's no point in talking to Harry because I know what he's going to say. And I'm like, oh, interesting. So, and that sounds like I'm making a judgment there, but I'm actually really curious. I'm curious to know, what is it that Harry's doing that is telling you that you know the answer before you've asked the question? Yeah. And when I dig a little bit deeper with genuine curiosity, people will go, and they kind of go like this, and then they go, you know what, I don't know. And they use the A word. Yep. Assumption, yeah. I just assumed, and I'm like, yeah, that's what happens. Yeah. So here's the thing with communication. I say to people, in the room, how many of us have got excellent communication skills written on our CV? Right? 100% of people. And they go, but you have to write that. Yeah. Everyone says you have to write that. Right. Well, what does that actually mean?
Funnily enough, though, as an employer, I don't even look at that.
No, but they do write it,
Yeah,
right?
they do write it. Yeah, totally.
But what does it mean?
Yeah, what does it mean?
Because communication, I'm telling you, communication is way more complicated than you can ever imagine. Yeah. Communication is the single most complex thing human beings do. Totally. It involves physical, emotional, social, motor, the whole thing. So here's what I've noticed. This is the metaphor I use. I'm going to try and explain it.
Nice.
So when it comes to communication, people just go, just go and have a talk with so-and-so. And I'm like, oh, wow. You're just going to go from here straight to have a talk with so-and-so. Well,
which is probably what most people would do, right?
Yeah.
I'm just going to go and confront it.
But here's the metaphor I use for that. If I wanted to decorate my living room yellow, and I said to the decorator, here's the paint, I'm in a hurry, just go over there, the window's open, blast it in. That's how people approach communication. They just blast in through the first opening they see,
Yeah.
and they smash it in there, and they create chaos. They create more mess than was there before, and then they come back and they say, "Well, what's wrong with all these people? I was clear. I was, and it's like, you got to do the preparation.
Yeah,
You've got to
okay.
open the door. You've got to put their mats down. You've got to prepare the word. The painting is actually the smallest bit. And the words are actually the smallest bit. The preparation in communication is the key.
Yep.
But people don't want to slow down and do it.
Okay, so let's look at the preparation then, because we're going to have this conversation. What do I need to do to prepare?
Okay, so you need to figure out.
Well, and we're taking to the context of this person's not performing as well as they have in the past. And I'm at my wit's end. I don't know what's going on.
Okay, so if I was, let's do the hot seat version of that. So if I've got 10 minutes to talk to Barry, Harry and Barry it is today,
Yep.
to Barry, and there's just no more time, I'm going to say to Barry, hey, let's have a catch up. Bear in mind, I've got a good connection with Barry already because
Yep.
that's the way we roll. And I'm going to say, hey, Barry, what is it that you and I need to talk about so that we can get our performance outcome back to this, to where it was? What is it we need to do?
Nice.
And then I'd be quiet.
Okay. Yeah, that's a great question.
I'd be really quiet,
Yep.
right? And I'd wait because he needs the chance to respond. He needs the chance to formulate his answer. And filling that silent gap is a mistake. So you've got to be able to hold space.
Yeah.
Right? And if he was getting defensive, perhaps to begin with, often people don't get defensive because you don't want pointy questions.
No.
So here's another one: avoid the why question.
Okay.
Because if I went in and said to Barry, "Why is your performance like it is?" Where's that conversation going to go?
Yeah, straight away.
It's going to be horrible.
Yeah.
Horrible, horrible, horrible conversation. Focusing on what is it we both want and how can we get there really quickly?
Yeah.
That's a really lovely conversation.
Yeah.
It's not blamey, it's not pointy. So we're avoiding the word why altogether because there's two things about why. One, it's really pointy. And two, the answer tends to be a one sentence and it always starts with the same word.
Yep.
Because.
Because.
And it'll be something like, because he told me to. Or because I thought that's how it was. Or because... Blah, 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 blah. And you can't go anywhere from that.
Yeah.
The door's locked.
That's a great takeaway. So looking at the questions that you're starting those conversations with, and the why, you've never thought about it, but a why is actually a pointy. It's
a shutty down question.
Yes, it's asking why you're doing that versus what do we need or what can we,
That's
I think,
right.
and then that once again, one is quite you're doing something wrong. The other one is, hey, what can we look at together? Which is a different outcome.
Oh, and inevitably, anyone's performance is going to be connected to something, right? So what you want to do is you want to place the conversation in a, you and I have got this problem that we're both recognizing here. You and I are going to work together to solve this. Instead of this belongs to you.
Yeah.
You need to fix it.
In your days of understanding leadership and understanding people, do you think the other person, Barry, is actually aware of the performance or lack of, or are they oblivious to it? In your,
you know what? I don't even know if that matters.
Cool. Yep.
Because that's noise.
Yeah. True.
Because it's like, we want this, we want that wall painted.
Yep.
How can we get that wall painted by 4:00?
Yeah. Okay.
What is it we need to do together?
Yep.
What do you need from me?
Yeah.
What is the conversation we need to have?
Yes.
And I always like temporal boundaries by 4:00, by Tuesday at 10. Not like, I never like leaving conversations open with we'll just get that done. And I know you guys are really hot on this. Olivia and I talked about this, but maybe, possibly, hopefully,
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's the thing. If we're setting a deadline, we're setting a deadline. And that the reason we're setting a deadline is because we've probably set an expectation with a client.
And we can rework that, but we're not going to go, well, hopefully I'll get it done.
Yeah, no.
Because that allows for not getting it done.
Yeah.
And that's the whole science of intention, which is the whole nother podcast. But the neuroscience of intention is fascinating.
Yeah. And look, just asking a better question is fascinating, right? Like, so what other questions should people avoid? Because I think the pointy questions are a really good one.
Well, I think the why ones, the blamey ones, the assumption questions, where you've made an assumption that something has happened, where you've taken, maybe you've taken information from the wrong place. So you need to, when you're going to anybody, if somebody's coming to me, so here's a good preparation key tip, actually. If I'm going to have a difficult conversation with somebody, that one of my prep things would be, how would I like somebody to talk to me about this?
Yeah, okay.
Because if you activate somebody's ego protection, you failed.
Yeah.
Okay, so you have to be able to get in there. It goes back to that cleaning, the painting thing. You've got to get in the room. You've got to connect. This is what I mean about deep connection. You've really got to be in with that person so that they trust you.
And that's all about that mindset of being in the room. Because if you're going to think about being in the room and then you're going to ask, how would I like to be communicated or talked to in this situation, you're really going to come up with, you're going to prepare. You're going to come up with better ideas and better ways to build that rapport, so you're working together to get that outcome.
Yeah.
Versus, I get what you're saying, just go straight in there and
create
chuck
a mess.
the yellow paint in.
I had a situation where I was helping somebody out, and then they were like, yeah, we think we've got this. I was like, okay. I kind of didn't think they got it, but anyway, off I went. And then honestly, 18 months later, Ali, can you come back? I was like, seriously, same problem. And I was like, oh my God. By now we've got lawyers involved. It's got a really complicated. And using the styles I've just talked to you about in the room with all the people and I'm there advocating for the person who's getting all the shame in the room. And the employment lawyer came up to me afterwards. She said, I've never heard anyone talk in that way before. She said that was amazing, just using those. And we managed to wrap it up.
Nice.
We wrapped it up to a better place.
Yeah.
But those questions are so powerful because it's not blamey, shamey.
Yeah. Do you think, though, because this is a culture, and it's a good question, I think, to ask, do you think New Zealanders and business owners are scared now to have those conversations, going and asking someone about performance because of the downstream effects of what could happen with lawyers?
Yeah, definitely. But
I know from talking to business owners, this worries them.
it does worry them. But the trouble is, not having the conversations is not neutral. It's
True.
avoidant, and it's building more problem.
Yeah.
So you've got to have, this is why we've created all these training courses that are super accessible because they're online and spread out over time. So you've got time to have practices for precisely this reason.
Yeah.
Because people were coming to me after intensive trainings, physical in the room trainings, and saying, well, what next? And I'm like, well, we need to do some more work. And they're like, but I live in Auckland. So that's why we created this online model.
Okay.
So that people and spread it out over time, so people can come to a training, learn how to interact with their team, learn how to check in for their own blind spots, for their own assumptions, learn some question styles, learn their own strengths, and from that go out and practice with a new kind of level of awareness.
Because it is a level of awareness, isn't it? It's a level of, to understand, and to give a better delivery, you have to understand this at a level. And that's what I love about leadership. Like, you're always learning, right? Like you're always learning. You can go so far, but then you get challenges that put you in situations where you have to learn. You have to, to be better. Let's talk a little bit about then, because I think you've nailed that preparation. I think that's a great takeaway for people. I want to talk about resilience, because I see resilience as probably something that's, has it gone away? Is it not as good as it? I don't know. Like, do you believe that resilience can be taught? Mm-hmm. Yeah, talk to me about that, because I know a lot of people who just are so resilient. You put them in anything, they will come through the other side. Then I know a bunch of people that one side of something getting tough, they're out the door.
Yeah. So here's what we know about resilience, and I come from the resilience training model from Penn and Marty Seligman and all the strength stuff, right? Nice,
okay.
So I don't know if you know, but I was in the Master Resilience training team and worked with them and learned a huge amount from those guys.
Okay.
And this is how they would characterize resilience. So it's that they kind of use the model of a tennis ball. So that's that the resilient people are able to bounce back. So we all hit the floor when trauma happens.
Totally.
Some of us bounce back more automatically than others. Some of us don't. And some of us bounce back eventually and end up doing better. So we get post-traumatic growth. So we have genetic loading for resilience. So there's one thing. So for sure, some of us are genetically predispositioned to be more resilient than others. But there's a whole big chunk of potential for people to learn how to become more resilient. And that's what the Master Resilience training course is all about.
Okay.
So underpinning that was thinking styles, mindsets particularly, thinking traps, strengths. Do you know what your strengths are?
Okay.
Are you able to leverage your strengths? Things like gratitude, learning about gratitude and the real power of gratitude, the power of savouring, the power of positive emotions. All these practices make us more resilient. They build our kind of resilience competence. So in real time, we're able to bounce back by activating some of those skills. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. What would be some things? So I'm listening to this and I'm going, I do worry for young people, and I do worry because of technology and because of AI, you're thinking about, I have 3 core values, personal core values. I shared them with my team the other day because we have business core values. And I challenged, does anyone else have any core values? Their own core values. Now, one person did, which is great. And then from that, one other person has messaged me, and we've had a discussion on their core values. Mm-hmm. I feel that because of AI, because of technology, people aren't doing the thinking. And this is where, how do I know my strengths if I don't think about them? How do I know my core values if I'm not prepared to take the time to think about them? How do I know my thinking styles if I'm not actually prepared to think? Mm-hmm. And I think we are at the risk of outsourcing our thinking because we need to do things faster, we need things quicker. But I think that's going to affect resilience. Mm-hmm. So do you have any exercise? Well, firstly, do you agree?
Yeah, I do agree with that. I mean, and there's a whole heap of stuff in there, but we need to be really mindful about how we're using AI. I use AI. I do not get it to use it. I do not use it for my thinking. In fact, for me, AI is my artificial intern. Okay. So it's like a really well qualified intern who's just agrees with everything I say and is good at drafting. So I'll give it a whole load of ideas. I'll say, organise these. Yep. And I say, don't give me any of your dashes and don't change my voice, So you need to use it very, very intentionally. If the human body is a use it or lose it system, that's why we go to the gym, right? You don't just get fit and then go, right, we're sorted. No. And thinking is the same. Yeah. So if you're not using your thinking and stretching your intellect, then it's going to atrophy, just like any muscle. Yeah. So we need to have a kind of thinking gym. Now, AI definitely has a place, but those people that will prevail will be those people who use it highly intentionally to extend their intellectual growth and performance. Yeah. In terms of resilience and young people relying on AI, I know for one, the course that my daughter's doing, they're actually everything, all the exams are handwritten, which is one really quick way of taking all that out of the equation. They're really hot on it. I think there are a lot of young people who are thinking about that. I think resilience for young people is connected to the devices that we have bought them. True. The adults. So this is on us. Yeah. Exactly. Not on them. And I often say to young people, I don't think you're going to make the same decisions we made. Sorry about that. But I think it comes back to the original conversation about communication. The more we can have intentional communication with our young people, the less they're going to be on devices. True. I think young people have got worse at having conversations. Yeah. Because when I was growing up, there was nothing else. There was just awkward conversation. Yeah. And that's how I cut my teeth, if you like. Yeah, true. Sorry, that's long-winded, isn't it? Yeah, no, but it is true, right? And so... Talk to them. That's on us. It's not on them. Yeah. So we need to talk to them. So then resilience, if it can be taught, what are some exercises people could do, maybe with their team, with themselves, to actually, help build that? Because as you said, it is a muscle. Mm-hmm. And if we can do some exercises and we can continuously do that, then we're going to be better and we're going to build resilience within our teams or our younger people. Fantastic. So the first thing you could do is, and I believe it's still free, it's called the Values in Action, VIA. Okay. That's viacharacter.org online. Nice. And you could all do it in the team. And then you could do a nice, colourful team graph, and that'll give you your strengths.
Nice.
So I always people call it the VIA. It is the VIA, but it's actually your values in action, because what you value becomes your actions, right?
Totally.
Which is really what you were talking about just
Yeah.
before. And then you get a whole language for understanding each other. Because if we don't understand, if we only know our own strengths and don't understand the strengths of our team, then we could easily start to get irritated when our strengths are clashing.
Yeah, true.
So I might be really into learning and you might be really into execution.
Yep.
And so I'm going, hey, we need to make this better and learn a bit more. And you're going, for God's sake, Ali, just get it done.
Get over.
But when we put those two together, we've got that beautiful learning tension.
Nice.
So the tension becomes a learning, growth, improvement tension, not a conflict tension. Do you see the big difference?
Yeah, totally.
So there's number one. Number two, a gratitude journal. And again, I talked about the soft stuff, but is anything but soft. A gratitude journal, people go, oh yeah, whatever, that just sounds really fluffy. No, it's not. What you're doing is you're actually stopping and thinking about 3 things every day. At the end of the day, beginning of the day, or in the team, 3 things I'm grateful for. You guys do it. I just read something online that you did where you were sharing the weekly roundup.
Yeah, like
sharing a success story.
Yeah, every week every day we have win of the day, or if you have wins, you bring them. We have a wins channel. We have a win of the week.
So you could link that. You could say, okay, what strength? So you get the win of the week. You say, so what are you grateful for in the win of the week? So you could extend that. And also, which strength of yours came to the forefront to drive that win?
In our core values, on a Friday, it's core values in action. So people will share whether themselves or others or clients or whoever they saw actually showcase one of the values that we have. So it could have been be team focus, and it could have been, Lucas took his own drone to a shoot in Auckland, and so people will call that out, so that's a very good way to showcase people's strengths in an indirect way of what our core values are.
So you're already kind of doing that a bit then. What this would do is extend you into a whole research set, but also give you more language. So you get more depth of understanding, which gives you more connection.
I like that. Yeah. Gratitude is a big thing, right? I definitely
so important.
So important. I like the values in action though, because I think so for one of mine is be bold, right? So one of my core values is be bold. So people aren't hiring at the moment. Well, I'll hire. I'm going to be bold with that. I'm going to take a step into an area where people don't want to go. That is part of who I am. It's one of my core values. So I'll step into that in times when probably it would be easier not to.
Yeah, no, I love that. And that instills confidence in people. And actually that in itself, that boldness, you will, it's almost like that build it and they will come philosophy, isn't it? It's just like, I'm going to make that happen.
Well, the good thing about it is and when times are tougher and uncertain, people let good people go. So good people are out there because other people have let them go, So you can pick up good people where you couldn't get in front of them before because they were working for other people. Now they're not.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think there's real opportunity in the downward spiral because you can because things are changing.
Yeah,
like you say, movement in providers, movement in all sorts of things. So it's a time to get in there and do it. Yeah,
it's the same with marketing. Like not a better word for it, but the weak will stop it, and our clients love it because they know market share time. They will take market share because their competitors have stopped. And it's I've seen this time and time again.
Yeah.
But it takes a mindset and it takes, having resilience to do that. And one part of that is obviously having a good core value around, stepping in when other people are stepping out.
Absolutely.
So we got values in action.
You've got me thinking about my marketing.
Yeah, well, we got gratitude.
Yeah.
What else? What's another example?
Okay, here's another one. I really love this. So this is based on Barb Fredrickson's work of positivity. So we have something called a negativity bias.
Yep.
All human beings have that, where we weigh negative emotions more heavily. They last longer. They're more enduring. So we want when we're having conversations or when we're giving feedback or in any situation, we want to try and even out, to make the balance of emotions even, you need a ratio, not of 1 to 1. You need a ratio of minimum 3 to 1. Better 4, better 5. So I'm talking 5 to 1 positive to negative things. So when we were training the army officers in resilience, we used this feedback. It was like rapid fire. So I would have to notice they were practicing a new skill. Let's say it was strength spotting. And I would notice 5 things. These are things that you're doing well. And we called it sustain. The language we used for the army was sustain and improve. So here's 5 things. Sustain this. You did this well. Sustain it. Do more. You did this. Do more. You did this. Do more. So if you think about it, sometimes people go, why do we want to tell them that they're doing well for doing the job that they're being paid to do? And I'm like, because you want them to do more of it. Because then that makes the job really great.
Reward the behaviour you want.
Yeah. And then the other one is your growth or your improve. So once you've given them all of that, right, they're feeling pretty good.
Yeah.
Because if you beat somebody up, they're not going to perform for you.
True.
Right? You give them 5 things, you say, and they're completely contingent things. They're really true, valid things. And so they're clear. They're like, right, I've got to do more of that. Got to do more. And then they're like, you've got to grow this one. You've got to improve this one. Improve how you do that. And also, this is how to do it. Okay. So it's not a pointy, blamey thing. It's like, we're on fire. Here's the next step.
Nice.
So it becomes more like a growth. I've noticed that this is going well. Here's the next growth bit.
Yep.
And then you can have those conversations really regularly.
Yeah. Hey, it's 2026. You're listening to this podcast and you've probably heard of AI. So here's what I want you to do. We've created a free playbook that'll actually help you with AI and help your business get recommended. So all you need to do is go to the show notes or the link that's in this video, and I'll send you this playbook for free.
So after I've done a training, I'll get back in my car, and I'm usually flooded with all the things I want to do better. But I say to myself, Ali, if you come up with 3 things, 3 bits of negative self-feedback, you know that you have to find 15 strong things. Otherwise, you're not practicing what you preach.
Yeah. Okay.
So it stops me beating myself up.
Yep.
It makes me find the one thing I'm going to improve.
Yep.
And then I go, and I usually, honestly, 100%, and I've been doing this practice for decades, I usually go, oh God, but is there anything I did well? And I'll go, okay, hang on a minute, what did that last person say to me? Oh yeah, they said that. And I will mine and find it. And I mention that because often people will say, yeah, well, what if there isn't anything positive? And I'm like, well, you haven't looked hard enough.
Yeah. So that's the question I have there is, do you come up with the 5 things that people have done well, or is it a collaboration?
Well, it can be any way. Actually, when I did my postgrad teaching, I had to do all the work. They made me do all the heavy lifting. Oh my God, it was brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. They were like, you tell me how well you did. Yeah. And you tell me what you've got to grow.
Yeah, because I think there's power in that. You like, if you can get people to give you what they've done well.
So imagine if you suddenly realise tomorrow you've got to review every staff member you've got, right? Yeah. And you've got a day to do it.
Yeah, I'm going to ask them.
Yeah, they walk. It's a nice day for you. They walk in the room and you go, what's 5 things you're doing well? What's one thing you need to grow? Yeah. You get a real context of where they're at.
Yeah. Yeah.
And they're doing the heavy lifting. And who needs to do the heavy lifting?
Yeah.
They need to do the heavy lifting.
Yeah.
And it means, instead of you sitting there going, oh my God, up till midnight, I've got to think of 5 things about all these people.
Yeah. Look, I think, and that is the willingness to listen, to understand. If you're going to do that, you're going to have the willingness to just understand, listen to understand, not reply. And be open to what they think they're doing well.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because you might not think some of that, right? I think that's a good exercise to do with your team. What are 5 things that you are doing well? What's one thing that you could improve? What a good ratio. When I used to go, when I went to Toastmasters, and I learned kind of that ratio. Here's what you did well. Here's what you didn't do so well. Here's what you can improve on. I like that kind of fit, but I think the 5 in 1's even better. And
it's completely research based. It's actually I'll give you the reference. It's Fredrickson and Lasada. And it was from analysing a low performing team where they were having lots of mistakes, accidents, productivity was going down. It was in like something like a mine. So a really hardcore environment, not a fluffy office environment. Yep. It was a hardcore environment. And then Marcial Lasada went in with this intervention, and he analysed all the interactions, and then he went in with an intervention and got them interacting at 5 to 1, and the performance took off.
Yeah.
And
what was the reason the performance took off? Is it because people started to feel better about themselves?
And trust. Trusting each other, feel better about themselves, more collaborative.
So if you're doing this exercise and you got people to give the 5 and the 1, would you then share that as a team?
Well, you could do. What you do is you train everybody in that idea, so then all of their interactions end up being 5 to 1.
Okay.
Right? Or at least 3 to 1.
Yep.
So you're constantly seeking stuff that's going well. Because as Peter Drucker, you'll have heard of Peter Drucker,
totally.
Right? He says that organizations move in the direction that you focus. Yeah. And if you're focusing on all the problems all the time, where's your organization going?
Yeah.
You want to be focusing on solution focus. All this strengths-based stuff is around what is it we want, how are we going to get there quickly. You want to be experts on solutions, not experts on problems.
Yeah.
Because the problems and the solutions often don't have a neat connection, right?
But I say this all the time. You're either part of the problem or part of the solution. What side do you want to sit on?
Yeah.
If you're going to be in the game of helping people, you need to sit on the side of the solution, because it's easy to come up with problems.
Oh.
But it's a lot harder to find solutions. Well, in saying that, it's probably easier to find solutions if you're open to it.
But also what you're doing is you're constantly saying, what is it? What are we aiming for here?
Yeah.
What is done? What does job done look like? What's the clarity? Brené Brown talks about the 5 C's, What is it we're actually going for? When we're really clear about what that looks like, then it's like, how are we going to get there? It's like, capture the mountain. So we're here. Oh, we didn't know there was this lake we had to cross. So what are we going to do? Because we still want to capture the mountain. We're not suddenly going to go over there.
I've noticed sometimes, because we deal with so many different types of businesses and types of clients, sometimes, and it's quite natural for humans, you see the one bad review versus the 90 good ones, but you read the one, and that can be a bit of an issue for people, and getting caught on just focusing on, as you say, not focusing on the 10 things that are going well, but focusing on the one thing. And then that one thing becomes 2 things and 3 things because you've probably created it.
Well, and that's a resilience thing, isn't it? So it's like, okay, so, we've got, there are some things that we need to do. There is some negative feedback. So can we learn from that? So it's a bit, so what we say in that context is we never lose. We either win or learn. Nice. And inevitably, we have to, that my dissenters are my favourite people. They're the people brave enough to tell me when I'm screwing up. And I actually welcome that by saying, tell me what I'm missing. Yeah. Tell me, if somebody says something and in my head I'm like, that does not sound right to me. Then instead of me thinking you've got that wrong, I'm going to think to myself, wow, you're seeing something I have that's completely outside of my vision. So I'll say, talk me through how that works for you. Help me understand what's going on here. Yeah. And that's what I would do if I had somebody come to me saying, say if Barry's coming in for his 5 to 1 and I'm thinking, oh gosh, it's Barry and I know there's actually a lot of issues here. Anyway, then, and he goes, oh, I think I'm good at this and I think I'm good at that. And you're thinking, wow, that's not the data I've got. Then I would say, hey, this is a great conversation. Talk me through how this is working for you. Talk me through what's going on here. Talk me through your data. Nice. So it's a curious conversation. Yeah. It's not a judgment conversation because maybe I have got it wrong. Yeah. Yeah, true. Yeah. Maybe they have got it wrong. Yeah. We're really good at scapegoating in teams. Yeah. I often hear in teams, oh, we've got this one person. Oh my gosh, it's happened so many times. People say, oh, well, you haven't met John or you haven't met Jane. And I'm like, and so this is my own kind of anecdotal study, I guess. I'm like, wow, are teams picking on one person and just loading all the problems onto them? Why do you think that happens? Because that happens, right? It does. I think it does happen, right? Totally. So it's not very nice for Jane or John, right? Yeah. So as leaders, we need to protect them a bit. I think it happens because it's that scapegoating thing. It's just an easy way out. It means that we can just blame everything on them and we don't have to face up to any of the things that we're bringing. Yeah. So, yeah. Interesting conversation, because it's humans, right? And like we're I guess at a lot of stages we're also learning, right? And some people are far more down the track in learning in some of these areas than others, right? Yeah, true. But hey, here's the other thing about human beings. We're preloaded. This is the thing that really excites me about communication. We're hardwired for communication and connection. Okay. We actually want it. right?
Yes.
So a lot of the work I'm doing, I do it with confidence because I know I'm diving into something, to an existing pool of skill that already exists, that you were born with.
Yeah.
Because you were born with the ability to, most people born with the ability to communicate fundamentally.
Yep.
Right? You didn't have to go to communication school.
No.
You had to learn maths and English, but
Yeah.
you didn't have to learn talking and walking.
No.
They're preloaded,
Yeah.
right? And people can flick really quickly. I'll give you a quick example. I was flying back. I was doing a training in Auckland. This is about, I don't know, a year or so ago. Weather was terrible. It was the last flight out of Auckland on Friday. All the flights were cancelled. Everyone was so grumpy. People were arguing in the airport. There was no space in it. It was worst possible. The rain was coming down on the airport. We were like, oh, God, are we going to go back? We got on the flight. Everyone was really angry, pushing, who's singing? And then I heard this little voice say, excuse me, can you help me? And I looked up and there's this young lady there with a carton of like McDonald's drinks. I was like, oh my God, they're going to crucify you, because there's a whole load of guys there with briefcases. Sorry, guys with briefcases, looking really antsy. And she did a really clever thing. She said, I'm sorry, but can you help me? This is my first holiday since COVID. I've got 4 kids. We've got seats all over the plane. I just need to get their drinks and their food to them. And I watched a whole plane load of really potentially grumpy business people turn into brothers, uncles, cousins, husbands. And it was like, we were like, sure, this one, 48.5, put him back, Diet Coke, boom. Everybody just became this beautiful team. And we were all like, yay.
Yeah.
And all she did was that magic thing. And that's what I learned from that. She asked for help.
Help. Yeah.
So help me understand this. Help me know what it is I need to know. Asking for help is really powerful.
Yeah. I talk to my son about this all the time. It's okay to ask for help.
It's resilient to ask for help.
It's resilient to ask for help. I like that, because he plays football. He's not bad at it, wants to be better, but sometimes he won't ask for help. And I had a conversation with him on Saturday. Well, you could ask. You could ask.
You just talked to him about Carol Dweck's fixed mindset, growth mindset. Because a fixed mindset is, I have to do this on my own and I've got my set point and I need to stay where I'm at. Whereas a growth mindset is actually being willing to fail.
Yeah.
Knowing that failure is on the road to success. I think the quote from Tal Ben-Shahar, who's a positive psychology guy, he says, learn to fail or fail to learn.
Fail to learn. Totally. Yeah. Love that. Yeah. Willingness to fail. And we actually talked about that. It's okay to fail. It's okay. It's actually better if you do.
If I'm not failing, I'm not growing.
Yeah. Well, you said before, you either win or you learn. There's no real. I think if I've got a coin in my office with that on it, you flick it up, you either win or you learn.
Yeah.
It's
that's so cool.
Let's talk about teams. Let's talk about teams in a wee bit more detail, because I think we've nailed resilience. What are some of the things a team can do to become more connected?
Yeah. Well, some of those things actually. So here's a gratitude type exercise I've done when I was working with a board. I was actually a national board here in New Zealand, and they all flew into Christchurch. And I noticed that I'm not even sure what I noticed, but I just felt like I needed to move things up a bit and I needed to reconnect them.
Yep.
So literally on the fly, and of course it sits on all this stuff I've just told you, so it was kind of on the fly, but I said, okay, I think what would be really helpful here is if we all go around the room, there's probably 12 of them, and I would like each of you to spend a few moments thinking and write down some notes. I want you to think about 3 things you value in each person in this room that helps you do your job. Oh. And so they were like, okay, so they wrote the 3 things down. And then I said, okay, we're going to share. And we're going to go one person at a time. So then say it's your turn. You get flooded with 3 things, 3 things, 3 things, 3 things. So you're getting feedback. You're getting contingent feedback on the things that you do that helps them in their job.
Yeah, nice.
And by the end of it, honestly, I couldn't believe it. There was emotions at the wazoo.
Yeah.
Because people were actually had a bit of going on underneath, which obviously I picked up on. And they just bonded.
Yeah.
Because suddenly they moved from the things that irritate the hell out of me about you to actually, you really helped me with my job.
Yeah.
And you've just told me some stuff I didn't realise that was useful to you.
Yeah. That's good. So good. We do something here when we have a monthly champion. So our theme for the year is, we have different themes. Last year was Thrive in 25. And this year it's not so much a naming theme, but it's Dominate 26, I guess you could call it. But we're looking to elevate, innovate, to dominate. And so we have an Elevate and Innovate Champion of the Month. But what I love about it the most is when everyone votes anonymously, they send the voting to me, but they don't just put someone's name, they put why.
Yes.
And some of the stuff that people write about their team members is so good. And I get the privilege of reading it out at the end or the start of the month, the person who's won. And you get to, there's tears in the room. People are like, whoa, like people have actually said this about this person. It's very, very powerful. But I do like that, what you've said there. And I know Liv and the team, sometimes when they've had a hard week and they've got a meeting, they'll go around the room and say something nice about each person. But I think that those three things is definitely something that we could put in. What does it value? Well, so what three things that people value?
So something more than nice, because we're at work, we want to be valuable at work. So what are three things that I really value that you do that help me in my job?
Yeah, that you do that help
me in my job. Because there's one, this data point I'm about to say comes, I think, from the Gallup 2025 roundup. It may even be 2024, but it really stuck out in my mind. I've just been reading the 2026 one, actually.
Yep.
Really stuck out in my mind. So Gallup do a global poll of leadership, and they asked, I'm probably going to butcher this a little bit, but the theme's pretty solid, I think. They asked managers, leaders, this question. It was a yes or no question. How many of you, or do you think you are good at your job? And what percentage of leaders, managers, do you think said yes?
80%?
Globally, yeah. It was over 90. It was like 94, I think, something around there. Forgive me if I'm wrong. And then they asked of employees, how are the conversations you have with your manager helpful to you in your work?
Yeah.
Percentages that said yes?
I'd say 35%.
It's about 16.
Ooh.
So I was excited about that because I was like, oh my gosh, that's a communication thing right there.
Yeah, it's a disconnect.
And I think the managers are probably gorgeous, lovely people, but I think they're saying, hey, nice weekend. It's like, but how does that help me in my job?
So then, okay, that's a great. What do people want in their job then? Because the manager's probably busy.
So what's the easiest way to get that data?
Ask. Yeah, you could ask people. We say, hey, how are we tracking, and how's my communication style with you, and what do you need?
That's a really good start.
Yep.
Let's make it better. I always do great.
Why are you being so whingy?
No, that would be
a pointy question.
It would be, you'd want to say something like, talk to me about how you would like to give and receive feedback. Okay. And that might be different for everybody.
Yeah.
I don't want somebody checking in with me every 5 minutes, but at the end of the week, I'd like to come to you and I'd like to say, I've got this done, I've got that done. I need you to help me with this because the deadline is 48 hours. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So other people might say, yeah, I want to check in every morning and I'd like the first question to be, did you have a good football game or something? This is personal stuff, but this is about meet people where they're at, right?
Yep.
This is a meet people where they're at intervention.
Yeah.
The easiest way, the number of times leaders say, oh yeah, I'm going to go away and think about how to do that. And I'm like, why would you do that? And they're going, well, I've got to figure out how to do it. And I said, who has that information?
Yeah.
Who holds that information? You've got to have the question, which comes back to you saying, how do people talk to their direct reports? So this is the communication fitness gym, which maybe that's what I need to call my business, communication fitness leadership gym.
Yeah, well, because you have to work on it, right?
Yes. You're
not getting this one and done.
No, no.
Because people, they'll forget. They're busy. They'll forget to maybe ask that question. They might ask it once because they've listened to this and then go out there. 3 months later, they've forgotten about it because they haven't been doing some of the exercises.
It's just like your physio exercises.
Yeah. You should definitely look at naming it something to do with the gym. I like that as far as really getting clear on those three things. I think saying that. I like when you talked about help me in my job. That's very, very powerful. I can see how people would connect straight away too, because one thing is people don't get that sort of feedback day to day.
No, they get big waffly stuff. People come and talk to you. They go, "How's your weekend?" And you're thinking, he wants to talk to me about something I've done wrong, and they keep doing it, and you're thinking he hasn't quite got round to the thing, and you're thinking, what's the thing?
Yeah.
Stop the fluff. And then they kind of go, yeah, and then something happens, they go, oh, I'll talk to you later, and then you spend the whole next day going, what was that thing?
Yeah, what was that thing? Yep.
Yeah.
What's another way to connect with a team? And, like, what's some of the things that you've seen that good businesses do?
That's a really good question. So the high-performing teams I've been in, we've rotated responsibilities, like chairing meetings. And you need to keep records, right, of when your meetings and agreements and stuff. So rotating some of those responsibilities so that everybody appreciates what it's like to do those things.
Nice. I think that's important, isn't it? So it's not just on, one person. I know we've got a innovation project at the moment in our pods. The leaders of those pods are not allowed to be the leaders of those projects. Because we need other people. Well, not need. We want other people to have ownership.
Yeah.
And it can't just all be on the same person.
Yeah. And sharing the skill and appreciating how hard that is. And one of the things we would do is you would take the minutes of one meeting and then you would inherit those as the minutes for the meeting you chaired. So if you screwed the meeting minutes up, you ended up paying the price. And I think just that genuine, respectful interaction. So I really love Brené Brown's work as well.
Yep.
And there's something, one of the core things she has is talk to me, not about me. And that is absolutely
Talk to me about that.
So what that means is if somebody comes up to me and they go, oh God, I want to talk to you about Barry, I'm going to go, hey, sounds like you've got a bit of an issue with Barry. Sorry about that. Have you talked to Barry yet?
Yeah. Because
if I let you talk to me about Barry, then I'm going to have to let Barry talk to me about you. And that's kind of like, I don't want, and I don't want anyone talking about me, let's learn, let's get skilled enough at conversations so we can talk about things early on. And talk to me, not about me, means that we don't talk about each other behind our backs around here.
Nice.
The way we roll is we find a way, using all the skill sets that I've talked about, to have those conversations. Talk me through what happened the other day, because I felt, and again from Brené Brown, she says things like, the story I'm telling myself is that you dropped the ball because you didn't care because it was my outcome. But the story I'm telling myself, right? Instead of, I'm assuming that's what you did. So tell me what I'm missing. Tell me what's here that I'm not seeing. And God, honestly, 99% of the time, there'll be a whole other side to it that you're unaware of.
Yeah. We have a coach who teaches us, we run EOS inside our business, which is the Entrepreneur Operating System. We have quarterly meetings with him. And one of the things he says, you can't coach the ghost in the room. So when you're looking at that, if the person's not in the room, we're not going to talk about them. And it's a great thing but then he starts talking about, the story I'm telling myself. And what a powerful way to communicate, because everyone is telling themselves a story. And if you can just be open, and it's a great way to get across what you are thinking and what your process is. Here's the story I'm telling. Am I wrong? Am I seeing this the
what's
right
your
way?
story? Tell me your story, and let's figure it out. Because all the time it's me and you together. Trying to get that collective future happening. It's
an interesting one, because I like how you say, talk me through what you're thinking, or talk me through. Once again, you know that person has the answers and you're just listening to understand. Yeah.
Yeah, totally. Radical listening. There's even a book about radical listening now. But it's like being super fully present to learn and understand what is going on for that person, because that's the data that you need to be able to move forward.
What are some of the success stories? Like you just talked about that board. What are some of the other success stories that you've seen of businesses who really delve into this communication and dial it in?
Oh, I mean, we had one of the courses we ran last year. One of the team leaders, and this is the beauty of having 5 touch points over a 5-week period. So she went away and back to work in the afternoon because it's all online. And she said, I've got a meeting this afternoon. I'm going to try all this stuff. So we taught her the stuff. We do a little bit of coaching. Off they go. So then she came back the next morning. She said, oh, my God, it was incredible. Just changing a few things, thinking a little bit differently, shifting my assumptions, listening and asking curious questions. the whole team noticed. The whole meeting was so much better. And everybody felt like we got more work done and we solved a lot more problems than we normally do.
Yeah.
And that, again, I said earlier on, because we're pushing into fundamental human communication that exists. We've just kind of defaulted into this other negative stuff. When we get back to that, things can change really quickly. And I've got, I was thinking about all the anecdotes around people just doing better. People just do better when they've had this kind of work with them, because it's not difficult work, right?
No. Well, the good thing about it is, like, you're going to spend the time and the money having the meeting. Why not be better at communicating inside that meeting? And whatnot, how much better will you feel because of that, right? As a business owner, I'm excited because, hey, if I've got a team and they're having meetings and they're having better communication, I know I'm going to get a better outcome for the client.
Yeah, absolutely.
And not only that, I'm going to get teams performing better because they've learned to communicate better. Powerful.
And they're gonna get doing the difficult work earlier on.
Yeah.
And when they have, what I find with teams that come back to me every now and then is they know that if they get into real muddy water, they'll just call me in and say, hey, we just need you for a bit. And they know I can hold space.
Yeah.
And then they remember all their skills. And that's when I first moved to New Zealand and I heard the term, the too hard basket, I was like, oh my God, that's where I want to work. That's my work address, Ali McCormick, the too hard basket. Because I really believe, all that understanding and training that I've had through my years, I really love helping people when they're in that.
Yeah.
And my goal is always to listen to everything and help everybody emerge with their ego intact and with integrity and with a plan for our collected shared future, the thing that we all care about.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, what is the collected shared future? What do we care about, and how do we
get there?
How do we get
what is
there?
it we need to do together?
Yeah.
What's the conversation we need to have?
How do we go from A to B?
Yeah, instead of you did this, well, you did that, and he did that, and last week, and Bill said, which is horrible conversation.
Yeah. But I think it's a conversation that's probably playing out a lot because of technology, because of everything else that's going on in this world. There's a lot of people get inputs from some strange places today. It's not just the news today at 6 o'clock. It's coming at you 24/7, which I think, so a lot of people are making, decisions and assumptions based on some of that outside data that they're getting regularly, which I think impacts a lot of people. But I really like, if you're a team, you're sitting down, what's the collective, shared future that we want to have here together? And then, okay, I think one of the clarities is with marketing too is, okay, where are we at? Be real honest of where we're at in that scenario. And then we always talk to people about, okay, B is where do you actually want to be? What is the future that you want to go to? Okay, here's the steps in between from a marketing perspective to get you there. But unless we have real clarity here first on A, we're never getting to B.
Yeah. And willing, even between A and B, having those conversations every time.
Yeah.
So that we're all still in the boat,
Yeah. And like, it's easier said than done. I know we have one of our core values, address the elephant, eat the frog. Like, it's easier said than done sometimes, eh?
But it's so, absolutely. This is hard work. That's why I say the soft stuff is hard, and that's why people avoid it.
Yeah.
They say, just get it done. I don't care, just get it done. It's like...
Yeah, it's easier to avoid it rather than...
But avoidance isn't neutral, though. It's detrimental.
No.
What you're doing is you're making it worse.
Yeah.
You're chucking that painting through the window and you're creating a mess that you've got to clean up before you actually get the paint on the walls.
So true. So, Ali, given that, where can people get hold of you for help?
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, well, you can find me on LinkedIn, but also Discretionary Efforts. I know that's a mouthful, but Discretionary Effort is actually the kicker for employee engagement.
Nice.
It's the effort that we're loving to bring every day. It's the driver to meaning and purpose in work, and you want teams that are filled with meaning and purpose. So discretionaryeffort.com is where you'll find all our online training. I've partnered with the wonderful Rachel Hillier, and we would love to see you. We're a fairly new outfit. We've created it based on what people are asking for, and we just really want people to come along, especially now there's so many travel costs.
Yeah.
Even better to have it online.
So you do it all online, yeah? Mm-hmm. Nice. What's an expected outcome that someone... And by the way, we'll put all these links in the show notes and in the videos and stuff, so we'll get all that information. What's some of the outcomes that people can expect from working with you?
They will have more confidence in communicating. They'll understand their people problems with more breadth and more to do instead of to moan about. And they'll...
Love that.
You know, because people often come with all the moans, and that's only a tiny bit of the data. So there's a lot that's missing, and the shift. People will often come and they'll look a bit like this, and then once we start talking and ask them a few questions, you can see them lightening their load. And they start. It's like they stop putting all that down, and they go, "Oh my God, now I can." Yes, and when you have somebody like super disengaged. A real quick way to get to them is to say, tell me how excited you were when you first got that job. Right?
Yeah, true.
So that's a real quick hack to that disengagement thing. That's just the last little extra.
I've got one more question though.
Oh, go.
What is the gift that business has given you?
Freedom. Freedom, yeah. I am definitely, I'm more of a, I think people broadly fall into, a much cleverer person than me said this, but broadly fall into two categories: power, freedom.
Yeah.
And I definitely love freedom. So, but I was brought up in a business. My parents worked hard, but they had a great life. I work hard, I have a great life.
Yeah.
Designed by me, lived by me.
Yeah, nice.
And so that's what it gives me: freedom to do the work I want to do.
Nice.
Freedom to say no to the work I don't want to do. And the joy of just working with people.
Yeah.
Love it.
You definitely have that. You have that sense that you love what you do, and you're a skilled expert at this. And I think that's what I love talking on the podcast and interviewing people, because when someone's good at what they do, you can really tell, and you have that. And we've only been talking for an hour, and we could probably go on for hours, but I think it's a real insight that you have, and a real gift that you have, the ability to one, listen to understand. Like, you obviously got very, very good at that, because lots of people, they aren't. They're listening to reply. You go and test this. Go and have a conversation with someone today, later on, and you watch how quickly they're looking to reply.
Or looking over your shoulder, or going like this.
Yeah. And I think it's really important. Like, you should be intentional around what the gift has given you in business. And I love that it's freedom for you. You can be, do, and have whatever you want when it comes to what you want. And by having a business allowing you to do that, it's very, very cool. Plus, you make an impact.
Yeah, yes. That's what's really important to me. Because, the world. It's like, okay, we can all do something every day. This is what I do. I help people show up better. I help people have a conversation.
Yeah.
So they're not on their devices. They're actually in their human space, because that's how we're going to prevail in the digital age.
Yeah. And also, like, what I love about it too is a small hinge swings a big door. So learning to communicate better is such, it could be just that one thing that you practice, and it's a small thing, but it opens up a big door. And it can be the difference between Barry just becoming this person who is totally disengaged, grumpy, leaves a whole bunch of things with it, or the person who all of a sudden turns around, sees the light, sees the opportunity, sees actually what's in front of him, and he starts being his best. Purely because of communication.
Yeah, and that we have that outcome a lot.
Yeah. Words have power, eh?
Words are everything.
Yeah. And learning to use them better. I find that quite inspiring, because, for someone who failed English at school, because I didn't really understand why we should have to read Shakespeare. But then to go into my library over here and the amount of books I've now read, I find it interesting that, you can communicate better if you put the work in.
Yeah, yes, but it's a constant workout.
Yeah, it's a constant workout.
Yeah,
I think
for
I think you nailed it today around the gym side of things, right? Like, it is a constant. You actually have to keep on doing it, because one and done doesn't get it done.
Maybe I need to talk to you about my marketing of that.
Hey, this is fantastic. Hey, well, thank you once again for coming on.
Thanks so much.
Great conversation. As a business owner, I think you should share this with another business owner. That could be your one job today. You've listened to this. Please share it with another business owner. Look, business owners, we're in doing the whacking and the cracking. We are hiring people. We're putting, sometimes our livelihoods on the line to help other people. And I think what a way if we could just use some of these exercises that Ali's given us to be better communicators. How much better would your communication with your family be, your teammates, your clients, your suppliers, just by learning to be better. So go and check out what Ali does. Go and have a look at the links in the show notes, etc. But also just share this podcast, share it with other people, because our podcast is growing, and I'm proud of that, and I'm proud of it because you guys do share. So please go out there and do that. So anyway, go out there, have fun, take action, and as always, celebrate your victories.